What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what moved it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 2.41%, kind of piggybacking just off of the broader negativity. So even though we did have some relatively good data that came out today, so we had ADP employment and also initial jobless claims, both better than anticipated. Market didn't seem to care all that much about that. Still really focusing on the data that came out yesterday. Even the FOMC minutes actually helped the broader market a little bit because it kind of came in line with what the market was assuming, that there was going to be not all that much in rate cuts straight out the gate. And that's kind of being resembled based off of this as well. So for the January 29th shows that there is now a 95.2% likelihood of nothing occurring. Went up a little bit, so yesterday it was 93.6. So like I said, kind of came in line with just their broader expectations. No actual news associated to SoFi, no SEC filings, so it was just kind of piggybacking off of the broader market. And so shorts, though, they did take advantage today and returned 629,000 shares. 12.88% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 137.31 million shares overall are being shorted. So the fact that shorts returned this much, given that there is a lot of available shares in excess of 10 million, kind of does show that today's pullback wasn't really justified. So again, that's maybe a positive kind of thing if you're looking for one. But I think in general, SoFi's technicals is one of the biggest driving factors. And even just talking on shorts for a second, last two trading days has been very weird. They did increase both of them, roughly only like 20 to 50,000 shares, so very small. So they haven't really been all that active. So again, that's something maybe to keep in mind. But moving over to the options, very low dollar value. So 14 million in calls, 4.18 million in puts. 46% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature, and that's been more of a common occurrence, just a lot more bearishness. So yesterday it was 21 million, which in general signaled more of a kind of stepping back from options. Day prior, 26, 26, and then 60. So I think just big money is sitting in the sidelines, just waiting potentially. And most likely, once we get the updated information, I don't know if it's still going to come out tomorrow or if it'll get pushed to Friday, but the week over week in regards to money market funds, I have a weird feeling just based on everything, money is going to be leaving crypto as well as equity markets to go back into money markets. So we'll kind of just have to wait and see, but I think the bigger players are still somewhat hesitant about everything. And in my opinion, I think that largely all of this fear is unjustified. Of course, in regards to quantum stocks, I think they have ran up considerably in the short time span. So I think that was kind of due for a pullback, but a lot of legitimate stocks such as SoFi, they kind of should be at higher levels, in my opinion. So I think just a lot of the data that's been coming out is very, very strong and justifying of higher multiples in some cases, such as SoFi, because they're going to be getting more and more growth. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. So I think in general, I kind of agree with shorts out of anyone that this technically is a very unjustified pullback. But once again, once I go over the technicals, I'll make a little bit more sense. Of the call options that were purchased today, there's a consensus for it to be above roughly 1650. So optimism is starting to diminish once again even more. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1350, so more of a continued pushback. Only thing I did actually with SoFi today is near the low, I did sell a $14, actually I think I sold five $14 puts. So again, you guys know I like to do that just to collect some premiums. And even if it does continue to dip based on, let's say this, sub 1350, I wouldn't mind buying it at $14 generally, especially bigger picture. I think there's a lot more upside at these prices. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you had some buying first thing, but then ultimately you had this string of selling. So it wasn't all that great. And even in general, as I brought up in the past, so it's good that big money is still watching SoFi, but these, obviously this being all the transactions, it is very, very low. So the frequency definitely is obviously showing that money is leaving SoFi. And I think in general, there's been more of a rotation anyways. I think a lot of big money was leaving SoFi to go to quantum stocks. And probably because of that scare that happened today, they'll be looking for the next big play. Wasn't necessarily SoFi, but it'll be interesting to see what the next kind of hot thing is going to really move higher, and whatever else. But right now with that 1455, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. 1483 is going to be the next strong kind of target / resistance. And as I said in my video yesterday, if it did fail to really kind of break above that, then you're going to see a little bit more of a pullback. So again, that might be coming. 1401 is going to be the next strong support, followed by 1350. Markets close tomorrow, just on a side note, so we'll be recommencing on Friday. But aside from that, you can kind of see on the actual chart itself. So it is exactly on that 50-day moving average. And historically, whenever it does break below that, then this is where you do have a roughly 15 to 20% pullback that could happen. So once again, you might potentially see in the short term a little bit lower lows. But like I said, I think just a lot of this downtrend recently is unjustified, and so that's why I did my option. But still, like I said, if it does break below that, let's say Friday, the unemployment numbers come out worse than expected, then yeah, anticipate a full-on kind of pullback to even possibly this 100-day moving average, which is around that $11 range. And as of right now, the Elliott Wave Technicals is kind of projecting the exact same thing. So go over there and give you an overview of that. So it does have a pivot point of 1619, and so for as right now, it is anticipated to get between that 1152 and 1226 range. So again, that is forecasting for it to break below that 50-day moving average. There was that one new rating that came out yesterday. I brought up in the video yesterday, but nothing new in as far as any analysts. And you never know. SoFi always gets these random ratings right before their earnings. Doesn't logically make all that much in sense. But let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Did you buy? Did you sell? What have you been doing with SoFi? And just generally, do you think that this recent pullback is justified, or do you think it's kind of just, I don't know, unjustified? Well, like, what's your kind of thoughts on all that? In my opinion, I think in general, it did go up very, very fast, and that's what the market is like nowadays. That's what the market does. It just skyrockets stocks to its, let's say, fair value, or at the time fair value, whereas in the past usually this type of move would have lasted, let's say, like 6+ months. So I think just the market is very impatient, so it moves it very fast. And so yeah, I think you're getting a lot of these like old school Wall Street analysts that aren't able to really analyze this information. So that's why you're getting some of the ratings you are. But nonetheless, enough of me ranting. Let me know your thoughts. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. I give buy signals on options, stocks, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point just in the month and a half that I've launched the Patreon. So definitely worthwhile to take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.